Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Hager number 282D. This is like French fries at a hot dog stand is how common this is. This is the most common commercial flush bolt type that there certainly is. The 282D is. This is shown in the polished chrome finish. This is what's called a manual flush bolt, and it's because it's manually operated versus self-latching, constant latching types of flush bolts. What's important about this flush bolt is it's rare where it can be used, not rare, but it's in a particular installation where it can be used in a fire-rated application. This would be really only used in a fire-rated application or in an emergency egress application. Actually, never in that application that I am aware of. Pair of fire-rated doors, electrical closet in a residential condo building where there's no occupancy on the other side of the opening, where one leaf will have a closer on it, the other leaf will be held in the secured position by this manual bolt. That's pretty much the only time that is the only time I'm aware of that you can use this on a fire-rated door. This is a bolt that's intended for installation on metal doors. However, the majority of installations you will see this installed on is a wood door. Not a problem, no big deal. Not the best choice necessarily for a wood door from the perspective of field machining it. If you're going to try to prep the door in the field for this, that will prove to be a challenge, at least, an interesting scenario to consider. There are tools that will permit you to be able to install this in the field without much trouble at all, although experience is handy to have when prepping for a manual bolt and a wood door, because they do make wood door style manual bolts, and it may be the part number 283. I forget, 283D. Let's take a look. Yes, there's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page. Pardon me. There's a link below this video to a document called Product Catalog, where you can pull up the 283. That's a corner style bolt, and you can imagine that you can get your router to the top or bottom of the door and then to the edge of the door, or here and here, I guess. You can certainly get the router for the plate of this, but the challenge in a wood door is drilling that long hole right on the edge of the door. And the trouble with doing that is that you have construction of a door where you have disparate materials. There is a fixture that you can clamp onto the door that we in fact sell. It's a fixture for, it's a drill bit, flush bolt drill bit guide, clamps onto the top or bottom of the door, and it will give you an 18-inch long bit, and you can work that through the very long bushing. And with practice, you'll get quite good at it, and with some luck, because sometimes you have a really poor door construction where it's just void, so that drill bit does nothing other than seek the less dense material and will just go, Urgh. So it's difficult, or even worse, it'll erupt out the edge of the door, but it can be done. But if you're doing a wood door installation, it would be proper to have that corner style, because there's no exotic drilling that has to be done. There's no exotic tooling that you really kind of have to have, because if you try to drill that hole freestyle, that's risky business. Running that drill bit out through the face of your door. Metal doors is where you're going to see this, because they'll be prepped in the field, or they'll be prepped at the factory. This is a 6 3/4 by 1. This is its own ANSI standard when it comes to size. 6 3/4 by 1. Obviously, Hager will make this available in all of the common finishes. This is a very nice polished chrome finish in the sense that it's clean, it looks factory new, there are no fingerprints on it. It was obviously handled by someone. The only fingerprint on it is the one that I just put on it. It was obviously handled by somebody packaging it that was wearing gloves. This will be made of brass on the faceplate. And again, it is a manual style to throw that up and down. Every flush bolt is going to include the rod, which is just 1/4 20, a bolt head. There are longer bolt heads available if you have a really unusual floor condition, and you literally need that longer because it's going to hang down the bottom of the door because of the throw on this unit, which might be 3/4 inch. Yeah, in fact, it is 3/4 inch. may not throw far enough and stay captive in the door. You will obviously get a screw package. Then you will get a guide and a strike. You'll get a strike and a guide. And the fact that that guide is D-shaped is because if it wasn't, that bolt head would sooner or later rotate out of place and or rotate too far and then would fall inside and you wouldn't be able to get it out again, or come out so far that it would eventually drop out or drop off of the unit. For sure that would happen. Some dimensional properties. We talked about the faceplate. The strike is going to be 2 1/4 by 15/16. The guide is going to be 1 inch by 2 inch. This will mortise or surface mount to the top or bottom of your door, or if it's prepped, it may be prepped to be mortised or recessed, however the manufacturer is doing this. Or in that scenario as well, the factory might just prep a D-prep in the top and bottom of the door for you. And in fact, if you ordered a pair of doors, or at least an inactive, they're going to give you that preparation ready to take the D-shaped bolt. Now, when installing this, after everything's mortised or prepped, assuming this is being done at the factory, you're simply going to thread this on. You're going to sneak this through the hole. You're going to get this through, and then you're going to test the operation once this is sitting in the edge of the door to make sure that the amount of threading that you've done here and here gives the bolt a flush condition at the top or bottom of the door without it falling into the door, and then projecting appropriately so as to engage the strike or the threshold, whatever you're installing it to. You probably have to pull it out the first time or two that you do it until you get good at doing it, and then it's not a real big deal. Very easy, in fact, to do. There is a link below this video to a document called Template that will allow you to review the document that is included with the packaging. And really all the template is a dimensional rendering of the item. They don't go into how to install this really at all. And, you know, and that's just the way of hardware a lot of the time. You can be charged with the responsibility of installing pivots, and they don't say step 1, step 2, step 3. They just give you all the dimensions. And after you study it and internalize it, and you expend time trying to get good at it, you don't need step 1, step 2. You know, you need to know the dimensions. You need to make sure that the door and frame can accommodate the hardware, and then you simply attach it. That template obviously does not show any sort of wood door preparation, but if you were going to attempt to install it into a wood door, and this is rated, by the way, for door leafs up to 4 foot by 10 foot, up to 3 hour, obviously in that very limited condition where there's no occupancy on the other side. NFPA 80, the code, fire safety code, will speak in detail on that. So if you can get your hands on a copy of that document, purchasing it, I'm not aware of any free versions of it. Although your authority having jurisdiction, your local fire marshal or whomever that person is, would certainly have a copy of it. You'll be able to find out those instances when this can be used. Or more likely, all of the instances where you can use bolts, and by definition, the exclusion of these bolts, I think is really how the wording goes. If you're going to do this into a wood door, what I would do, what I've done thousands of times literally, is you're going to make 2 preparations in the edge of the door. One for the body. You're just going to come down here, away from the screws, prep down and over, and then back up. Whatever that width that's required. Okay, I wouldn't go the whole 1 inch wide. I would go closer to what the body is, maybe 7/8. You'd have to put a measurement on that, and the real best friend of the woodworker is not the router, it's the caliper. So if I was going to prep this, that body dimension is telling me that it's about 0.770. I'd probably be looking at, you know, well, it also depends on what tooling you have. Do you have a 7/8 bit? Do you want to buy one if you don't? You know, so you'll be looking at what tools you already own. You can obviously do that 1 inch, but I would prefer to have a little ledge or shoulder for this to sit on. Then whatever that length is, according to the tape measure, You know, I would probably personally be somewhere in the range of about 5¼ inch. You'll be well away from the face plates. Then you're going to do your 6¾ by 1, the thickness of that item. Again, you're not going to use a tape measure. That's no good. You're going to use your caliper, and that faceplate thickness is 0.126. You'll make a prep, make your adjustments, take your caliper and check your depth, your gold. Once you've got the body prepped and it sits flush, now it's time to pull that piece of hardware out and put your guide on, and then take your 1/2 inch, 18-inch bit and start to work that down in the hole. And you're going to want to make a little progress and pull out, evacuate all the shavings. That will make your bit deflect if you're not evacuating that material. And if you have material that's consistent and is not very low quality, dense softwood, and it's not two pieces that are put together, laminated, you'll be able to drill that very slowly, very carefully, all the way to the pocket. And if you've done it, and if the woodworking gods were on your side, you'll have a perfect installation where all that you're going to need to do is mortise for the guide itself. You're done. It's that easy. However, you'll find it far easier to prep for the 283D, the wood door version, because you won't need, again, the exotic tooling to help you do that. Is it mandatory that you have the tool? Yeah, I would think that it is. I wouldn't dare try to do it without having a guide on the edge of the door. Obviously, for non-fire rated doors is the mortising that you would be doing in the field. You would not do anything in the field on a fire rated door. NFPA would certainly disqualify any field preparations for a flush bolt, whether it be the proper wood door style or the metal door style. Even if it's a metal door, obviously, no preparations of that would be permitted whatsoever. Now, below this video is the extended description information, and looking at the balance of the data that's there. There's nothing that we've really not covered, so I won't beleaguer this video any further with more information. I will tell you that there's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Hager products that we sell, but a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. The name Hager is quite synonymous with builder's hardware. However, it's their namesake, Hager Hinge, that I know them for, but they certainly don't stop at hinges. Hinges, door closers, exit devices, lock sets, electrified hardware, trim and auxiliary hardware, weather stripping, ancillary hardware like signage. They have their line of Roton continuous hinges. They have sliding door hardware, pocket, bifold, barn door material. It goes on and on. Everything for the door opening except the door and frame itself. And that catalog below this, that catalog link to the manufacturer's page below this video will allow you to review all of that. I can tell you this, that I don't use Hager on every job because I may have determined that what I'm working on is not their strong suit. But I will also tell you that there are some incredibly loyal clients when it comes to Hager, not only from distributors, of which I would include myself, but the end users. Once they get Hager on the job, they are very loyal to that product line. And while I don't fully understand that, I do get it. The name Hager is synonymous with a certain quality that people have come to exist, and I think it's because the name is so familiar in the industry that it's a safe name to use when it comes to hardware. By extension, if you've got some Hager hinges that are decades old, you would logically conclude, yeah, sure, that door closer is going to be great. And there are a lot of advantages to the Hager brand that are not so easy when it comes to, for instance, door closers. If you invested in Hager door closers along with these Hager flush bolts, you would be able to buy every single component out of that original closer box separately. The body, the arm, the screw pack, the drop plates, the parallel arm brackets, the covers. Everything can be bought separately, which is really advantageous for the end user. Why? You've made a significant investment in builder's hardware and life safety hardware, and the ability to keep that functioning per code so that it serves the purpose of safely permitting those users to operate in that building is the bottom line here. It would be like if you had a vending machine business. I would think if I did, I would want one sort of coin changer so that I had parts that I could keep my machines working. Being able to connect with Hager is advantageous because you can buy just those individual parts on the items you've already invested in. Any questions on the Hager 282D and a US26, and of course available in all the common finishes, your brasses, your bronze, your chromes, your oil rubbed. They can do this in black as well. Any questions on this or any other Hager product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.